I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell.
Round two. Fight!
Welcome back, Caniacs, to another playoff round two edition of the Storm Cellar. Our first round two episode ever, Ray.
This is outstanding, Brad.
Right?
I
I'm having
love
fun.
it. I love everything about this. And we're jumping in a little bit early. Our regular record date is Saturdays. And I think between the two of us, we kind of made an executive decision. Too much can pass now in this next few days that we can't leave things unexamined. So we're going to take a quick wrap up around the league, look at the end of round one. We'll preview round two. We'll focus in a little bit on game 7 for the Bruins and Canes, and we'll preview the excitement that is to come starting Wednesday with the Canes taking on the Rangers. Brad, the first round was sensational. I mean, when you can have five of the 8 series went to 7 games, and 2 of those went into overtime to be decided. It was unbelievable. A fantastic first round. This was the type of weekend, as far as game 7s go, that could really grow the hockey fandom and, really increase the eyes on the games and so forth, especially when you consider how terrible the NBA game 7s were on Sunday. They were atrocious. They were unwatchable. And you juxtapose that with a game 7 right here in my backyard that went to overtime and featured a team that had 67 shots on net.
That was Ottinger's performance in that game. So Ray and I were supposed to record this the other night. I fell asleep, woke up, said I'm just going to check in. Like, oh my gosh, like it's overtime. His Ottinger's performance in that last 10 minutes of the game might have been the best goaltending I've seen in decades. I mean, that was lights out goaltending. Holy smokes.
Without question. And what you missed while you're getting a little bit of shut eye, it was the same performance throughout that entire game. Really, the Flames brought so much firepower and could not beat Ottinger. The game never should have got to overtime. He made at least 10 saves, at least 10, that he had no business physically making. It was just not possible. And he was putting up the stops. By far, in my humble opinion, the best player in the entire first round. You look at Jake Ottinger, he needs the props because that was sensational. And good on Johnny Gaudreau, who just the pinpoint precise shot to finally beat him. And it sparks a wonderful thing that we're looking forward to in round 2. But I won't go there just yet. We talked about we're going to take care of round 1. So that was fantastic. The Rangers over the Penguins, a little bit of controversy there.
A little bit.
Like, I don't know what was your take on this one? Like, I don't think I expected. Even though I picked the Rangers to win when they got down 3-1, I thought, wow, this one's over. Shesterkin wasn't playing. He allowed 28 goals in four games, and yes, he played really quite well in game 7, but that was not a Vezina performance by any stretch of the imagination.
Not at all. That was I think my prediction was whoever won Game 3 was going to win that series, which was Pittsburgh, and
Mhm.
it was there for the taking. I mean, it was there. They got Yari back. They got Crosby back, and they
And
just
Raquel,
came up just a day late and a dollar short. I mean,
and the Pens fans are up in arms because of that one play behind the net. It was Lafreniere, I think, who kind of ripped the helmet off of the players,
mhm,
the Pens defenseman, who then had to leave the ice. Letang comes on for him, but is kind of lost in no man's land. And suddenly Zibanejad scores. And there's this feeling that they got kind of ripped off in that whole situation. And I can't feel bad for the Pens. You had a 3-1 series lead, guys. You had
right,
lots of times to put them away and couldn't, and couldn't. So
right.
it
It's
is
it's
what it
it's like
is.
it's like blaming the refs, right? You
Mm-hmm.
do your job. The refs shouldn't be able to dictate who wins and loses, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it
It's that was tough. It was tough.
mhm.
Go back. Let's go back to Saturday real quick. The late night game. I know you picked the Kings over the Oilers, and really, this was a case of Connor McDavid just taking over the game. And that was really what it came down to. The Kings, I mean, Jonathan Quick was playing fantastic, making lots of big saves to kind of keep them close. But in the end, the Kings just didn't have enough, you know?
Yeah, and to their credit though, they made it a 7 game series where, and I don't know, I have to go back and look at what the general consensus was, but I think a lot of people thought that they would, be out a lot earlier than 7 games. They I think the Oilers were really worried going into the game 7 that they may just not have enough. I mean, that was, you know, it's just kind of a gut check time, right? And they came up. I'm a little surprised that they did it. At the same time, now in a few minutes we get to talk about the Battle of Alberta, which should just
Oh,
be
man.
from my end. You mentioned earlier about the NBA game 7s.
Yeah.
I didn't listen to sports radio all day today, but off
Yeah.
and on, every time I got in the car, every time I was at my desk, uh, I was listening, and it was all
Sure.
Celtics all the time. The only time I heard anything about the Bruins was, when they did their you know, bumper update, whatever. I think bumper is the right term, where they're
Yeah.
going in and out of commercial. And they're like,
Yeah.
going over blah blah blah. Hurricanes 3, Bruins 2. You know, Touch and Rich didn't want to talk about it. Felger and Maz didn't seem to want to talk about it. I'm sure they did, and I just didn't catch it. But I definitely thought it was Boston's one of those towns where, and maybe all big markets are like this, but you know, one team gets eliminated, and that's it. We're on to who's playing, right? We don't,
Yeah.
it's as quick as we can get on to the next topic, which felt pretty good for me.
Well,
Um,
and the Celtics is a feel good story considering that they were down in their series as well. Sorry for the cross pollination, but they were down as well. And they won game 6 and 7 in convincing fashion as
yeah,
well. Like
yeah,
they really took
yeah.
it to Milwaukee. So, yeah, you could see Boston not wanting to lament the Bruins. Boston fans not wanting to lament the Bruins situation very much when they can look at the Celtics and see a very promising opportunity for a championship
Yeah.
there.
I will say the only I only caught the tail end of it, but Felger and Maz, very popular radio show. He not just here in Boston, but nationwide, discussing whether or not to replace David Cassidy as coach and whether or not the GM should be fired. So it's one of those
Wow.
things where now some of this is sports radio, right? Some of this is we need things to talk about to get ratings.
Right.
But at the same time, two of the three guys were in agreement. Like, well, I think all three of them said the GM should go, and I think two of them said Cassie should go, and one of them was like, "Well, who's better? Like, you can bring in Trotz." right? He's now a free agent.
He
But
is.
you have the fourth best defense in the league. How much better can your defense get? What you need is, to switch up the offensive side of things. So
Yeah.
it just really it was interesting from my perspective being able to, I always say like my favorite sport is tuning in sports radio up here because after a loss it's the lowest of the lows and after a win it's the highest of the highs.
Sure.
And today was just avoidance for the most part.
It's changing out a GM. I can't imagine that in Boston right now, considering the very first and foremost they have to figure out is what to do about Patrice Bergeron. Is
Yeah,
he coming back? I mean, that's a lot to put on a new GM's plate right off the top, and perhaps it's a little bit hasty, and maybe just fodder to talk about. We'll very quickly uh, talk about the Toronto Tampa situation. Um, I can't tell you how awful I feel for Leaf fans. I,
same. I
they
really do.
they
For maybe the
they
first time
suffer.
ever, I really do.
They suffer. They look at a team as strong as this one and believe that they could get it done. And the hardest part in all of this is who they drew in the series and drawing the two-time defending champs who are remain the champs until someone puts them out. And it's a solid lineup through and through. Now they had their chances. They had their leads. They won games in Tampa. So it's not like they didn't have a chance to put them away. And put them away when Vasilevsky is not playing his A game. You know, like
Right.
Vasilevsky was not anywhere near the Vasilevsky we've seen in past playoffs until Game 7, and then he was every bit and enough to keep them out. I feel bad for Leaf fans because they deserve they deserve at least one series. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
yeah.
they deserve to get into the next round at the very least, and they've got lots of questions to answer now.
And like I said, this is the first time I've ever honestly really felt bad for Leaf fans, and I do because I've made some good friends here with the show, on Twitter and stuff who are big Leaf fans. My heart breaks for them. I'm sure your household is, suffering through some of that.
It's tough.
But the questions you're right is, do you need to blow up what you got there? I mean,
Break it down to build it up. Yeah,
you still got how it was 40 million in payroll on the first line.
yeah.
It, is that going to do it? Because so far it has not.
I
That's
I'm
I
yeah
don't want to
I'm
be that GM. Oh my goodness.
no no that they've got tough sledding to go. They have a few problems on their D. Uh, they have this huge payroll. I mean, just off the top of my head, I think Nylander might be someone that they could deal to maybe fill some of the gaps or whatever. But man, oh man, that's
And the
you
salary
know,
cap's only going up like $1 million. So it's
yeah,
it's not like you're gonna, it's not like you're gonna go up 4 or 5 million and bring in a new name without somebody going out.
exactly.
I mean,
So
they're hamstrung a little bit. And
a little,
it's not that much different than we've talked in the past about, Edmonton. Like, do you have to blow it up to rebuild? Because if you're the GM that does that and it doesn't work,
oof,
forever hated by 4.5 million Toronto fans.
100%. It's not going to be easy. Not going to be easy at all. Let's jump into because we're gonna take a look at Game 7 for the Bruins and Canes a little bit in a bit. Let's jump into the preview and what we're looking at ahead here. Let's start with let's start in the West, and we'll go with Colorado St. Louis. What is your take on this one? This is kind of an intriguing situation, mostly because of Bennington and just how lethal St. Louis was in putting Minnesota away. Very impressive performance. Very impressive.
Definitely. I predicted the Wild was going to take this because I said the firepower is there.
Yep.
But the Blues team that showed up, who's been a good team all year,
Yeah.
is really good, better than I think I gave them credit for. So, the Avalanche aren't going to walk through this in four,
No.
and I've already seen Avalanche in four, Avalanche in five. I don't think so. The Blues, I think, are going to give the Avs fits. The Avs were so good in the regular season
Yep.
that in Nashville tried, they did their best, but Nashville was just outclassed.
No
But
question.
now you're getting into the Blues, depending on who advances, maybe the Flames, like then maybe come out of the East, maybe is a Carolina or a Florida team. The Avs situation, round one is not going to define their playoffs this year. That was a gimme putt. I'm gonna cross
No
pollinate with
question.
golf because my son's taking golf lessons.
I love that.
That's a gimme putt.
It is.
Right. Now you're in the sand. You're 80 yards from the hole, and you're gonna have to make it count.
No question. And St. Louis, I think this one kind of rides on Binnington, doesn't it? Like he kind of recaptured his form from, a Stanley Cup championship. And that's better goaltending than Nashville was able to put up. And they've got a stronger, more balanced lineup with lots of scoring kind of throughout. They're a team that has tons of secondary scoring. This is going to be a great series. Anyone thinking that the Avs are going to have this one in 4 or 5 are just that's a great disservice to the Blues. I think that at a minimum, this one goes 6. I think the Avs win it, but they win it in 6. I would not be surprised one iota if it's St. Louis coming out winning this one and causing more grief for the Avs. It would not surprise me one little bit. This is going to be a great series.
I think this comes down to two things: goaltending. Kemper in the first round had a 1.63 GAA. Binnington had a 1.67. I mean, they're right there together. Goaltending's one, and then special teams is two. The Avs power play was lights out. I mean, 43.8% against Nashville, which is, I mean, oh my God, right?
Yes.
If they continue to get the penalty calls that they have traditionally gotten the last couple of years,
yeah,
who can beat them if you're, if they're putting up those kind of numbers?
Yeah.
That being said, the Blues have a pretty good penalty kill in the first round, 83.3%, and they're winning almost 52% of faceoffs. So I think if this is a 5-on-5 series, it's going to be really tight. If this becomes a run and gun with the Blues taking trips to the box, then the Avs, are going to make it a little easier because, O'Reilly, Tarasenko, and Buchnevich need to step up, right? They need to step up and become, put up points the way that Makar and McKinnon are. So.
And discipline is going to be really key in this one because power play opportunities for the Avs are just you're just asking for trouble. It's going to be that's going to be a great series. Another great series still in the West. It's not happened since 1991. 1991, the last time the Calgary Flames and Edmonton Oilers met in the playoffs. It is going to be as exciting as Game 7 was for the Flames last night. That is how every single game is going to be between Edmonton and Calgary. These teams are intense, they are talented, and they hate each other.
That makes for good hockey.
Rivalry, it does make for good hockey. And there is no rivalry anywhere in any sport, and that matches the intensity that this series is going to bring. I think if there are people listening that are not necessarily hockey fans or just new to it or whatever, do yourselves a favor, stay up late if you have to. If you live out on the east, stay up late, or at the very least, record the game and watch. You'll be treated to just amazing hockey. I have the Flames pulling this one out in seven. It no matter what, it is going 7 games. There's just no two ways about it. The rivalry is great. I think the Flames have enough, and I'm giving them the edge based on Markstrom over Smith as far as the goaltending goes. But
That's where I
understand
went to in
this.
this series too.
Yeah, but understand this. The Oilers have made Markstrom look like a sieve, like just absolutely terrible. And we're talking a game that where the Oilers score 6 times on Markstrom before the end of the second period. Now they lost that game 9-6 because their goaltending was not very good. But this is the type of excitement and scoring that these two teams have. It's going to be outstanding.
It's going to be the same thing as the other series out west. It's going to be Smith and Markstrom who can hold up their end of the bargain. And then Calgary's power play was, I mean, we talk about the Hurricanes' power play being bad. Calgary's power play rate was 8.3%.
Oof.
Out of
And
16 out of 16 teams, it was 14th. And that includes Nashville in there. I mean,
and that's so unlike them. That speaks to
mhm.
how great Ottinger was. I mean, because he was just a brick wall.
Yeah, it's going to be that. It's going to be Goudreau stepping up and,
Yep.
and going toe to toe with McDavid and Draisaitl in terms
Yep.
of getting goals in the net. Evander Kane was a big, I think he led Edmonton in goals that series, I think with 5.
Yeah.
So, he's playing really well.
There's going to
That's
be some
all I want
tough
to say about him.
there's going to be tough matchups. I see Kane and Kachuk squaring off with some intense play against each other. I also see the Oilers, Cassian and Lucic for the Flames going at it pretty heavy. There's going to be some big hits in this. It's going to be it's going to be a great series and well worth checking out. I've got the Flames in 7. Um, and you're picking the Flames as well. Is that
I
am I
I
speaking
am
for you?
no, I think I picked the Flames to come out of the West.
There you
I'm
go.
sticking to that. I When they're on, they are scary good.
Scary good.
As good as the Avs, as good as Florida, as good as the Canes. And so
No
they
question.
just need to get it together and do their thing. But I agree with you. I think it's going 7. If it goes 6, I'd be a little surprised. It's certainly not going less than that. But
Disappointed.
I think I will be staying up to watch these games for sure.
No question.
Absolutely.
If you want a a lighter version of the Battle of Alberta, how about check out the Battle of Florida? And I say that in jest. I say lighter version. This is going to be another amazing series as well. 2-time Stanley Cup champions who are taking on a team that is loaded for bear, won the President's Trophy, Florida Panthers. And this one, until Saturday night, I thought the Florida was going to be in trouble against the Lightning. And then Point is injured. And I think not having Point in the lineup will be enough to tip the scales to the Florida Panthers um, winning the series. Being without Braden Point, who has been outstanding in the playoffs for the last 3 years, and having him go down the way he did, you certainly do not like to see injuries like that happen. But Bobrovsky has stood tall when he needed to. I think it was a little surprising that the Capitals gave them as much trouble as they did. I certainly didn't see that going 6 games. And I Washington did a great job against them. And in the end, though, Verhage was holy cow. I mean, the lineup that Florida puts out on a nightly basis, there's another one that is just up and down the roster, full of potential scoring and talent and responsible D. I'm going to pick the Panthers to win this one. Um, but man, I think that one might end up going 7 as well,
I
even
ha-
without Point.
wow. I have the Panthers winning this one for, and I can't believe this is true, for one primary reason. Ray, the Panthers power play for the entire 6 game first round, 0.0%.
How?
They won a 6 game series
Without
and went
scoring a
like
single.
it was like over like 12 on they were over 13 on the power play. If if
Man,
if, if they get 10%, if they can get back up to 18, 20% like they were in the regular season, I mean that's just vicious. I
it
think
is.
I think the Lightning uh, I think the Leafs gave the Lightning every bit of what the Lightning could stomach. They were able to hang tough, but Florida, no offense, Leaf fans, is not. The Panthers are not the Leafs, and if Florida gets that power play clicking, I don't see the Lightning three-peating on that one. I
Yeah,
I I just think Florida is just that good.
they're that good, that strong, that solid. Okay, so we've covered everything not hurricane related. Let's focus
I think
on
so.
our
Yep.
boys. I mean, this is the storm cellar. This is what we love, but we just, we got to show our chops too, right? I mean, we know a lot. We know enough about hockey that we could talk, intelligently about the other series, but let's focus on why we get together in the cellar. Game 7, Bruins versus Canes. I only have one thing to say. It's a message to Brady Shea. Brady, I don't know what type of stick you're using. You need to get a new contract with another stick maker because that stick exploding with 20 seconds left, and well, not the stick exploded with 40 seconds left in the game of a 3-1 game. My prediction was coming true, and Brady Shea's stick explodes, resulting in the 3-2 goal and the longest 20 seconds of our lives as Canes fans.
When I saw his stick explode, Ray, my first thought was that pass was Dairy Queen soft serve soft. How on earth did that stick shatter? I mean, clearly it had to have been fractured somehow, and he just didn't realize
Had
it
to have
earlier
been.
because that puck wasn't moving that fast. And I was like, are you kidding me?
He wasn't blocking a
And
shot at
right, he's
all.
just intercepting. I mean, it was nothing to it. And then when he looked and said, can I make it to the bench? My word of warning to him would be Trocheck's trying to hand you a stick, like head on the
Yes,
swivel. I keep your body in there. I know there's 40 seconds to go. I know we have a 2 goal lead, but David Pastrnak buried it. And
oh,
you're right. That last 21.3 seconds, I think it was, the Bruins, I mean, give them credit. They saw the opportunity and they sure tried to capitalize.
they were so close to tying that game. And I'm telling you right now, Brad, if they tie that game, it's the Bruins that move on.
Oof.
I guarantee you, if they tied that game with 2 seconds left, it would have put a pall on the fans. It would have shook to the core the team, and it would have devastated Ronta. it would have. But he made some sensational saves in there. And the D was laying down, and they did everything they could to keep it out, and they won the game. But I I was so scared. Like
I was
it
nervous.
was it was unbelievable that game. Props to the Bruins, with the exception of Marchand. I can't. But
The good news is my prediction prior to the game was 100% on. If you shut down Marchand, which they did,
yep.
he had no points. He was a +2. In 4 games in Carolina, Marchand had 1 assist and was overall, I think, a -1. In the
Oh,
3 games in Boston, he had 11 points. He had 10 points.
he
He had
was
one in
amazing.
Carolina. So it came down to that. The only other thing I would really want to say about Game 7 was there's been a lot of back and forth. The Brendan Smith hit, that's an elbow. Like that's a
It
major.
was.
100%. I agree with Bruins fans that should have been called.
It should have been.
So should have Charlie McAvoy's slew foot on Brady Shea, who I thought may have
No
taken Brady Shea.
question.
Those are both 5-minute majors, game
Absolutely.
misconducts, and suspendable. How they weren't, I don't know. I don't. The referees in both cases saw them. I don't know.
So what were they looking at? They were
Yeah,
staring right at the
I don't.
plays.
That's how guys get hurt, and we don't want that for either team. So
No,
the officiating was bad in both directions throughout the series
no
with missed calls
question.
and things. This is going back to what I said earlier. If you're hoping that the referee's going to give you a makeup call or something, and that's how you're going to win the game, then that's what you're leaving it up to, right?
Yeah,
The Canes put themselves in a position where they were up 3. I'm sorry, up by 2, and didn't give them that. And I mean, we got to talk about Max for a second.
Max Domi.
Max
Hey,
Max
how
Domi,
excited
better
were
late
we?
than never.
And how excited were we? I remember us recording an impromptu show with the deal being made, bringing Max Domi in. I'm driving in the dark 4.5 hours north a year, and we're talking things through. And we were so excited. And it just didn't really materialize until Rod put a line together that I think is the answer. Trocheck, Teravainen, and Domi were fantastic in Game
Sensational.
7. They were amazing. So many opportunities. They could have scored a couple more between that lineup. And I think that's what we're looking at here for the next series. We
I
got
hope
our
so.
lines set and leave them where they are because you found it. You found the connection. And Domi, so excited for him.
Yeah,
He
we
loves
said that
playing in
night,
Carolina.
like you said, we were because you we were just talking on your phone, and we said if we're getting the Ty Domi, Ty, I keep wanting to call him Ty Domi. I'd like Ty Domi. Ty was in the building too.
Yes,
If we get the Max Domi of from Montreal, then we're all in
yeah,
on this. Then that's great.
it is.
And up until Game 7, I was like, I wish we would have gotten that Max Domi because we didn't.
Yeah.
But then he gets put with Trocheck and Teravainen and has a 3-point night, 2 beautiful goals,
Oh man.
and now you can see if the if things work out well for the Hurricanes, Don Waddell's gonna look like a genius because
Yeah.
that felt like such a non-move move
Right.
that if Max gets his touch back and he certainly looks more than capable after that game, holy smokes!
It was so funny, and because Domi was getting a little bit of second, uh, second unit power play time every now and again, but for the most part, he stayed on the fourth line, and he just kind of, I don't know what inspired Rod to put him up into line 2 with with Trocheck and Teravainen. I don't know what inspired him, but it was like it just hallelujah moment because Domi was sensational. And now that he's had that success, I think that could be the wheel. It's like a snowball, right? Going
Because that
downhill. It'll just
it's
get
building
better and
confidence,
better.
right? And
Yes,
in the opposite direction, even the broadcasters in Game Seven saw this. I'm sure you heard it. Everybody listening heard it. They're leaving Marty Natchez open because he won't shoot.
exactly.
Marty
Oh,
Natchez either needs to, whatever you have to do, find him every time he passes instead of shoots. It's $50 a pass every time you pass up a shot. If his confidence is that far shot, you don't want to break the kid, but put in Lawrence or put in Stepan. Don't
yeah.
right now. Is Marty Natchez giving you anything offensively or even really defensively that you can't get from somebody else who at least is going to go out there and take the shot and try and make plays? Because I'm not saying Marty's not trying, but
No, no, no.
he is completely invisible in all the only thing I can tell you about is I didn't see him make a drop pass to the Bruins. So that's a win.
It is a win. I,
But
I,
but
he,
what else does he bring right now? That the fact that they they, they kept him in and swapped out Stepani. I was like, why is Nate just out there? I mean, I think his confidence is just shot for this year, and he just needs to clear his head over the summer and come back fresh and see what happens. But
yeah.
I I just don't see why he's in the lineup versus those other guys who have shown when they're in the lineup, they look to take full advantage.
He got a little bit of penalty kill time, and I wonder if that's not just because of his general quickness and his ability to pressure the puck. I mean, the Hurricane penalty kill is all about pressure on the puck as quickly as you can, and he's got quick feet. So that might be why he
I'll
gets
buy
the
that.
nod. But it to me, I mean, he was so wide open, skating in unguarded. No one was near him, and instead of putting on and he's got a great shot. That's the most frustrating part. He has got a fantastic shot. Use it. Use the weapon and skill that you have. Natus, please, please. And I don't want to be like the fans that are in the stands yelling, shoot, shoot all the time. But for him, when he gets the opportunity, put the puck on net at the very least. Throw it on net and see if you can't get one of those juicy rebounds, right? Because we've got guys going to the net. It works. You put the puck in the
Mhm.
goaltender's feet and things can happen. Things
It's
can
like earlier
happen.
in the year when Tuvo wouldn't shoot, right?
Yes.
So Tuvo's getting in there and he's wanting to dish to Aho. And as much as I love that combo, I think putting him with like Trocheck and Domi, it's like taking away his safety blanket, right?
Yeah.
Like you're kind of the
Yeah.
big boy on this line. Like if there's a goal scorer on this line, it's really kind of you.
Yep.
You need to shoot, and when he shoots, he's got a wicked shot, and he and
It's so
he
good.
scores points. So overall, really happy with it. My flag is still flying on the house. It's not been torn
Excellent.
down.
Good, good,
I have
good.
not seen eggs or shaving cream or anything else on the house, which is great.
I'm
So
glad to hear
things have
that.
gone
I'm glad to
well.
hear that for sure.
The good news for me is all the Rangers fans, most of the Rangers fans, they live in Cary, so they're nowhere near Boston.
There
So
you go.
we have the
And I
Battle
don't
of
think the
Alberta,
Bruins,
we
and I
have the
don't think
Battle of
the
Florida, we have the Battle of like Raleigh and Cary to preview now.
Here we go. Canes versus the Rangers. One thing about Boston fans, they hate the Rangers too. So you might have a
They
few
kind of hate
people that,
everybody. I mean,
oh, that's
they hate
true.
Montreal, they hate Detroit,
You
I
know,
mean, they hate Toronto, they
yeah,
hate Buffalo. The list
original,
kind of goes
yeah,
on and on.
yeah, there it goes. You know, of the four remaining series, unless you are a Canes fan like us, I'm going to say something bold. This might be the least intriguing of the series, to be perfectly honest. Um, the Hurricanes are a deep, deep lineup. I I have this one in my eyes. I see Canes winning this one in six. Shesterkin is going to have to play a much, much, much better game. He allowed 28 goals in 7 games against the Pens. And they didn't have Crosby in some of those games, too. I mean, they made him look just terrible. And the Hurricanes with a relentless forecheck. And that's the key. I don't think the Rangers could handle the sustained pressure that the Hurricanes can bring over and over and over again, especially 5-on-5. Now, the Hurricanes stay out of the damn box. Okay. When you're playing 5-on-5, there's you can play with anyone in the league. I'm talking to you, Avs and Panthers and Lightning. I mean, honestly, there's no one we can't play with 5-on-5. But and our penalty kill is great. We don't have to keep proving it all the damn time either. Pardon my language. I mean, it's a great penalty kill that works well, but you can't end up having games like we did against Boston where we're taking 9 penalties. I'm sorry, Zibanejad, Kreider, uh, Panarin, the bread man.
Mhm.
I mean, Fox. Those guys are going to make you pay. Make you pay. Be smart. Stay out of the box. Play a 5-on-5 game and skate the Rangers just into oblivion. Into
I
oblivion.
100%. I think this is a 6 game series for the Canes. I think the Canes' depth of scoring and the fact that they can roll 4 effective lines is what's going to separate them from the Rangers in this series. Goaltending, Shesterkin, if he plays like the Vesna winning goalie that I think he's going to, I think that's his to lose once we find out. Ronta has to match that, and so far he has. Everybody's asking about when's Freddie coming back. My hot take for the series is I want Freddie back because I want Freddie on the bench backing up Ronta, who has played exceptionally well,
Yeah,
so that Piotr can go back and maybe win a Calder Cup with the Wolves.
there you go. And
Because
you kind of jumped in. I was gonna put you on the spot, but I think I know your take right now. Is and you put this out to our Twitter followers as well. It is this next series Ronta's or is it Freddie's? Do you throw him in? I don't even know if he's ready. I don't like. Is there a
he is not
definitive?
skated. There has been PR with the media that has said that he will be available for round 2. That might mean game 7 of round 2.
Yeah,
What we do know, the things that we know for sure. One, he has not skated,
right.
right? That's the major one. 2 is Rod said, I'm not going to give you an update until he has a practice in. Well,
Right.
games are coming every other day. He's not going to get a practice in unless it's a solo practice with the goalie coach, right?
Right.
Those are the facts. The things that we can kind of make some assumptions on are he struggled with MCL issues before.
Mhm.
This is likely an MCL issue. He has been out for what, about almost a month now,
Almost a
and
month.
that's
Yeah.
normally a 4 to 6 week recovery time. So as good as he was during the regular season, if you just give him a couple of days on the ice kind of by himself or in a light workout with the team and then throw him in there, A, I worry about him re-injuring it.
Yeah.
And B, Ront has been an absolute stud in net for you.
He's been
So
great.
you ride the hot goaltender. I mean, right? We often allude back to 2002 and 2006, and what did you do? When Ront is giving you 2.37 goals against and a .927 save percentage, he's your starter until he can't do that.
Yeah.
It's to me, it's
Yeah.
not, and 78% or so of people agree with us, and I think 8% just wanted Piotr to go back down so they can get in a fight because he looks like he's
Sure.
probably itching. And
We
then
want
then
the
you
Chuck
bring
Knuckles.
LaFontaine up and let LaFontaine sit in the back room. But to me, this is all going to be about Ronta playing the way he's playing because he's been phenomenal. The fact that you can get scoring from three lines consistently and the fourth line when you can.
Yeah.
Home ice. I've never seen a series where home ice was important as last time, but it goes to show you how good the stall line is of shutting
Yeah.
down the opposition.
Yeah.
You have to take advantage of that, right?
No
I'm
question.
thinking six because I expect you to win all three of your home games. I expect you to steal one in New York.
Steal one for sure.
And
Uh,
and and mitigating their firepower. But a lot of it comes back to Igor, which is kind of what you were saying.
yeah.
If he plays, if he's giving you, I forgot what his goals above expected was from the season. If he's playing that kind of hockey, the biggest problem the Canes will have is it reminds me of the miracle at Molson, right?
Yeah.
Theodore's playing out of his mind. You just have to get the first one or two past him, and then you get confidence.
You break the
So
dam.
in game one, I would like to see them get a few goals in to just get the confidence, break the dam, know that he is beatable,
Yeah.
and then just play your game.
100%. 100%. I quit. I just got to, I will put you on the spot with this. Oranta, did you see him after the game, after game seven?
Oh, happy as I'll
The
get out with his little
the
girl. Oh
pure
man,
joy, the pure joy that he had and he was experiencing, that is a harbinger of good things to come because that type of happiness, it brings on confidence in yourself. You know what I mean?
he
Like
looks
this
really
was his,
comfortable in that role
he
now,
he does,
right?
and this was his first series. It was his
Yeah,
first series, and he carried the load, even though he
right.
was injured. I mean, Kochetkov, thank you for your efforts securing game two and your efforts in game three. They were outstanding, but Ronta was the man.
Yep.
And
And for
to have
somebody
that confidence, it was great.
to be brought in, like you're kind of the expected number two, right?
Yeah,
You're the number two guy behind Freddie. That's been his role. Now it's you're the guy, and he
hmm
seems to be taking full advantage of it. He seems to be relishing it. You're right. He looked. Some of it is the happiness, right? Because that feeds into confidence,
yeah,
and that kind of that self-fulfilling prophecy of he looks really comfortable is the best way I would see it. Even the one the Bruins dinged off the pipe. Sometimes the goalie will kind of look back and kind of give a little head shake, like, oh, I can't let that happen. He
yeah.
cool, calm, collected, just kept doing his thing. The big scrums for the net, those last 20 seconds, I'm sure his heart rate was lower than mine.
You know what? Yeah, it had to have been. We were all in a panic, and he was cool as a cucumber. He was
You,
fantastic.
you know who he looked as cool as?
Mm.
Kochetkov.
Oh wow.
Because that kid has ice in his veins, and and that's kind of the way Ron's is like, this is my net, man.
It's my net, my job. You're not putting it past me. And he was sensational. Some of those saves, Gumby, Gumby goaltending, a
It-
straight split on that one
Mhm.
2-on-1. How did he do that? Hall is like looking at him, going, "That was a goal." That I mean, you
It should
robbed me
he read
blind
that and anticipated that just
perfectly.
perfectly.
Perfectly. He was outstanding. Brad, I know we said we were going to try to keep, we were talking before, and we said we'd try to keep this to a half an hour. We should know better. You and I love our hockey so much, and we've covered everything. We certainly hope that our listeners will enjoy this. It's always fun, kind of impromptu, but you're all set. Tune in, listen in. You'll be set for the upcoming series. And really, is there anything else left to say, Brad?
I have two things.
Oh,
One is Saturday we will be joined by Corwin, who is a Bruins fan,
oh,
who
wow.
we're gonna have fun talking to, I think.
Cool.
So I think that'll be really fun to do a little back and forth and you may get a little more series analysis out of us next week.
Sure.
And go Canes.
Go Canes.
Thank you everyone for tuning in. Ray and I greatly appreciate your support in helping us produce an informative and fun podcast. As always, we'd like to say that we believe hockey is for everyone. Whether you're a Caniac or a bunch of jerks, doesn't matter, as we're just a couple of jerks anyway. We would love to hear your questions, comments, and suggestions. We will do our best to answer anything hockey related. You can reach us via email at stormcellar97@gmail.com. On Twitter, we are at stormcellar97, and on Facebook at facebook.com/stormcellar97.